Welcome back. In this session, we're going to talk about triggers. So far, we have been executing our pipelines using the debug option here. But this is not what you will be doing in your production environments. So in production, you will normally have an automated trigger set up so that it comes in at a specific time or when an event occurs and it triggers the pipeline. That's what you want. And also, there's an option to do a manual trigger. So let me show you how a manual trigger works first, and then we'll go into the automated triggers. So in order to manually trigger a pipeline, you come into the pipeline and then you can click on Add Trigger, and then you say Trigger Now. So that will trigger an on-demand run. So it's not going to be an automated run, it's going to be an on-demand run. So we don't have any parameters for the pipeline. Otherwise, it will ask you for the values of the parameters. But here there are no parameters. So you just click OK here, and that should trigger an execution of our pipeline. As you can see here, it says successfully running the pipeline here. So you might be wondering where to go and look now because it's not running here anymore. When we used debug, it was running here so you could see what was going on. But in order to see a trigger run, you will have to go into the monitor. So click on the monitor here, and then you've got two tabs under integration. You've got the trigger runs and the pipeline runs. So if you had an automated trigger, you will see that in here as well as in the pipeline runs. So trigger events, you'll see when the trigger was executed, and the pipeline runs will be when the pipeline came into running, but we just did a manual run. So you will find the pipeline length and the pipeline runs, and I can see here it's triggered by manual trigger, and that's what happened on a main pipeline. And you've got the two child pipelines within that main pipeline which are running now. But once this finishes, we are going to have the gold pipeline coming in and running as well. There are a few options, as you can see here. If you wanted to cancel at a pipeline execution, you can do that, and you can do a cancel recursive. What that does is it will cancel not only this trigger at this pipeline, it will trigger all the child pipelines that are running as well. And in order to see what's going on, you can just click on the pipeline, and that takes you into the pipeline executions. As you can see, all of them have successfully completed. So let me go back to all pipeline runs here, and now the gold is running. So if I click on gold, I'll see the instance of the pipeline that is running and the status of Verity. Step 2, so as you can see, it's doing some of the delete partitions and things like that. So let me go back to pipeline runs again, and once that's finished, we will have all of our data being transformed from branch to silver as well as silver to gold. So this is how you monitor your pipelines. In our case, we only got 4 pipelines and we've just executed one trigger run. But in your production scenario, you may have many more pipelines, and they might be running quite frequently as well. So you're going to have so many different pipeline runs, and you may want to find a specific pipeline run amongst those. And that's going to be quite hard when you're scrolling through. That's why the UI gives you the ability to do filters. As you can see here, you can filter on pipeline names. So we got a list of pipelines that we've got. So if I just wanted to look at the silver table, a pipeline, so I'll just click on the tick there, and then that will just show me that one. And if you wanted to look at only the successful ones, you will look at the succeeded ones. If you want to see all the failed ones, you'll look at the failed ones. As you can see, we have got no failed ones here. And also, you can look to see the trigger that invoked the pipeline as well. So in our case, we want to manually trigger the pipeline. So let me click on the manual trigger, and this will disappear because this pipeline was not triggered by the manual trigger. The pipeline that was triggered by the manual trigger is the path execute all pipelines. And if I take that off, you'll see that actually the others were triggered by another pipeline. So you can filter for all of those things. But the main ones I find quite useful are mainly status, because I normally want to come and see in the morning which pipelines have failed and do I need to do any action against them. So with that, I hope you've got a good understanding about how to manually trigger a pipeline and that to come and monitor the pipeline runs. So that's the end of this session. In the next session, I'll show you how to create an automated pipeline and how to monitor that.